Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm Jordan with Active Healing Center right down the road. And we do physical therapy, and we have weekend massage, and we have a red light therapy bed, all to try to help folks to heal faster in a more peaceful, private way. And today we're going to be talking about feet and how feet are super important on their own, and then also for overall health in other ways too. So maybe just a quick question. How many people here, other than just like, oh, okay, like I stepped on a rock and my foot is sore, but have had some significant foot pain at some point or another? All right, everybody knows. So lots of people. So it's a pretty common thing. So today I'm going to talk about some of the, I wrote down 6 that we might talk about more, but common foot conditions, just to kind of go over some of those. And by the way, at the end we'll have time for questions too. So if you have, something that's specific to you that you're curious about and you want to ask, you can either ask it in the group or you can talk to me afterwards as well. I want to talk about some of the myths of foot pain and foot problems. I want to talk about how the feet tie into overall mobility and just health of your whole body. And I want to give you just a few little exercises, kind of a little guide to some exercises. We'll talk about shoes and how to get the right shoes. And I'm hoping to get some help from you guys because shoe stores keep closing. So I would like to know if there's any local knowledge on where to send people to. I have some ideas. And then just, a little bit of summary. So the first 6 things that I want to talk about, plantar fasciitis. So that's a big one, right? Who has not heard of plantar fasciitis? Everybody's heard of plantar fasciitis. So it's just pain on the bottom of the foot that has to do with this chunk of tissue that gets really, really painful. And usually that's felt in the heel, and it's usually first thing in the morning, the first few steps syndrome. Bunions, that's that big toe migrating. And I do have some, that's one of this places of one of the myths, so wait for that one. Metatarsalgia, there's a big word. That just means the ball of the foot pain. And so that one's usually a little bit more specific to the front. It's not in the back as much as the plantar fasciitis. Neuroma, Morton's neuroma, between the toes. Usually it's like between the 2nd and 3rd and 4th. Arthritis of the foot and the ankle. There's lots of different variations of that. And a lot of times there's some swelling, especially if it's around the ankle. That's where some of the arthritis comes in, but there's some other little joints in there too. And then hammer toe. Hammer toes are the ones where the toes kind of go like this. And I've noticed most of my clients are starting to get a little bit of that action. But for some people, they go really gnarly, and then they have skin breakdown, and they have a hard time getting with shoes. And this one is, and we'll end up talking about overall what causes a lot of foot issues, but almost every single one on here has to do with muscle imbalance. Spoiler alert, the treatment is then to strengthen muscles and stretch muscles and massage muscles around the foot and the calf. So there, I'm done. So, but that ends up being the treatment for almost all of these. So that's kind of, I guess that's when I was thinking about doing this, I should back up a little bit. If you get one thing out of this talk, well, that's hard for me. If you get 2 things out of this talk, one of them will be, yes, you can do something about foot pain. It's not just surgery. There are muscles and there are joints, just like that you can get exercise and physical therapy and strengthen things around the knee or the hip. The feet are similar in that way. So yes, things can be done. And and I guess the second one is just, I guess it's related, but more things are reversible than people think. So we'll get into that a little bit too. So let's just jump through some of the myths. What I want to do is, so one of them is bunions. So all bunions need surgery. And I'm not sure if this is in the same order as what I gave you or not. No, I just put 2. I have like 10 written down. So we'll see. I'm going to look through the juicy ones. But all bunions need surgery. So I want to be careful how I word this. But podiatrists are really good at looking at the foot. And so they look at the foot from about here down. And The problem I have with that is there's lots of stuff from here up that affects what's going on in the foot. So if a bunion, say this is my big toe, use your imagination, my big toe is now going right? It's migrating over and I got this big old knob on the big toe side of the ball of my foot. That's what everybody knows what a bunion is. So it's from a muscle imbalance. There's actually a muscle that does that. So we can strengthen that muscle. It's hard, it's not necessarily super simple because we don't sign our checks with our toes. But if you start to work that mind-muscle connection, you can start to bring some life back into that toe and it can start to migrate over. So there's toe spacers that can be temporary stretching things in there. There are exercises that can be done. There's hands-on physical therapy, mobilization of that joint. There's a lot of nerves in the feet, and so I think people are sometimes a little bit hesitant to mess with them. Like, just don't mess. I've had plenty of people tell me, okay, well, yeah, we're going to work on my knee, just don't touch my feet, because there's so much pain there. And I would just say that usually when that's the case, we need to go gentle, but keeping it the same if it's really painful, or if the joint's really migrating, or if you can't walk in the morning, keeping it the same and not touching it is just keeping it in your body. And so there are things that can be done to gently move that area. And the cool thing is that I'm going to show you some hopefully simple things that you can just start as gentle as you want on your own. See if that works, and then if not, you can get some help, because we're around to do that. Myth 2, flat feet are the problem with everything. Oh, look at, she's got flat feet, he's got flat feet. There's a huge genetic difference in how high the arches of the feet are, because that's what they're talking about, flat feet, is the arch is starting to go down. There's professional athletes that are functioning better than you or I ever have or will do, that have completely bones on the floor, flat feet, and they're doing fine. They have no pain. The issue is if it starts to hurt. The issue is if you start to lose the ability to push off that foot and the function. So, my wife's got arches like that, I've got arches like that, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's a little bit different. So some other ones, let's look through this list here. You should always go barefoot to strengthen your feet. Heard that one? That's a confusing one. So there's a whole range. Some of it is genetics. Some people just have never felt good walking on hard surfaces. But when we were kids, it's probably good for kids to walk barefoot, because they still have the flexibility of all those joints. They haven't lost all by stuffing their feet into shoes and sitting behind a desk. They haven't lost the strength in those toes. So yeah, they're gonna have, like my son, he has duck feet. They're shaped like this because he went barefoot, or he wore Crocs, which have a toe box about as wide as they are long. And so he's got these spread toes, and they're amazing, they're perfect. And he fits them into shoes fine, but he's so stable, and those muscles are so strong because he walked and used those muscles like little fingers, as opposed to stuffing them into a little coffin box, which is what our shoes end up being. So if we've had our feet in the little coffin box for a long time, those little muscles, they call them the intrinsic muscles, get weak and we lose our coordination. But it's the first shock absorber, so there's a lot of built-in ability that our feet have that we can regain. So we can do some little simple things and to strengthen those toes and move them. So the deal with the arch and the flat feet is just how it's functioning. So whether you have a high arch and you have pain, okay, well, there might be some issues. We might need to put some support in there. But we're probably going to need to get some things looser and get some things stronger in the toes. You have a super flat arch, no pain, doing fine. I'm going to be a little hesitant to mess with that unless you've got knee pain, hip pain, or back pain, and I think that's messy. Your foot is causing some of that, because it can go that way too. Does that make sense? Your feet? Okay, good. So what else? We've got foot pain is a normal part of aging. Wrong. You can fix foot problems with shoes alone. So, everybody, the Hokas? Everybody's heard of the Hokas? Yeah. So, I'm neither in favor or against them. It depends. But if I have foot pain, my opinion is if the Hokas help. So Hokas are really pretty soft, squishy. A lot of times they'll have like a rocker. And Hoka is just a brand name. There's other brands too. I'm blanking on what they are, but so if anyone wants to shout out. Say again? UFAs.
The
UFAs.
barefoot shoes.
UFAs. Oh, are those barefoot ones or are those the
I don't know.
They're cushy.
cushy ones? Yeah, perfect. So anyway, there's a bunch of other brands.
Brooks.
Brooks, yeah, perfect. So there's a whole bunch. So when we have that really fat, solid, squishy shoe that has a rocker, meaning when my foot hits the ground, it kind of rolls for me, and my toes never really bend. Like with a barefoot shoe, you're going to hit the ground, all your muscles are going to have to work, you lower your own foot with your muscles, you roll over your toe, the ball of the foot joints wrinkle and bend. That's what's happening in a barefoot situation or in a shoe that's more flexible. With the ones that I'm talking about, they have a rocker and it just stays flat. Your foot just kind of goes like this. It's never really moving. It's great because things with like plantar fasciitis, objective bone fusions / really painful arthritis / just lots and lots of time where that arch has fallen so substantially and it hurts really bad when that joint movement happens. They're fabulous for that. But if I'm just wearing them because they feel squishy and nice, there are some side effects, and we'll talk about that later. But so it's not 100%. Because what was the myth? The myth was come on now. Flat feet are the problem with everything. That was the myth. So, shoes can fix everything. Thank you. Shoes can fix everything. All right. Oh, okay. So the next one is orthotics fix everything. Okay. So kind of the same thing. Sometimes we need some support. Sometimes we don't. All foot pain comes from your feet. That's definitely not true. We've got calf muscles. The reason that our calf is all bulby and then it goes down and it's narrow at our ankle and kind of small on our feet, the reason it's bulby is because that's where all the muscles that turn into little ropey tendons that attach to the foot that move it up and down and in and out come from. So that's where the muscle bellies are. So if those muscle bellies are really tight up in the calf, they pull on the little ropes that go into the foot, and then those guys pull on the bones of the foot, they pull on the ligaments of the foot, and they can cause some pain. And aha, this is an opportunity because we can get in. I see when my patients come with foot pain, need a knee pain, we massage their calves, their shins, we get in there onto those little bulby calf muscles, and it takes the pressure off of those ropes that are pulling on the foot, makes things better. That wasn't too technical, was it? So, orthotics fix everything? Yeah, I think we're good. So, the way that feet help the whole body, the simple way to think about it for me is if your feet hurt, you don't move as much. If you don't move as much, then there's all kinds of downward stuff. Our metabolism isn't there, our overall health isn't there, even our brain health isn't there. So our cardiovascular, our heart system, and so on and so forth. So if we have, it's just a big, so now that you know that there's something can be done with foot pain, if that's the kind of thing that's slowing you down, maybe some of these things will help. And there's lots of reasons to have that to work on that. So I've got foot exercises, and I want to be careful. I'm always careful about giving out exercises because everybody always loves it when I give out exercises because then it's something to try, right? So I'm going to give you some, but the caveat is always if it really hurts, don't do it. If it seems aggressive, don't do it. Sometimes, because the first one, just for example, is I'm going to say, okay, say you've got plantar fasciitis. Say you've got some pain on the bottom of your foot. One of the best things we can do is get a ball, sit down, put the ball on the floor, and then drape our foot on top of the ball. So it's just foot massage with a tennis ball. A lot of times people will get those lacrosse balls. Those are a little firmer. Tennis ball is a little bit softer. And if your foot is really, really flared up or you have a lot of arthritis in there, you could even use some kind of more Nerf-like soft one. But for example, if we're gonna, this is a great thing. So I have a lot of people do this. This is one of those mobilization of the feet things that just does seem to work for almost everybody. The exceptions on this would be if you have severe osteoporosis, really be gentle with that because we're pushing on the foot. There's not a lot of padding there, so we wouldn't want to be like jamming the ball into the bones and creating some kind of fracture. But you would kind of know if you were going that hard. So as long as we're sitting, we're gentle with it, you're probably fine. Other people that should be careful with this ball on there, and I'm going to explain the exercise a little bit more, would be people with peripheral neuropathy that just can't feel. So if you've got a little grit of sand or a little rock in between your foot and the ball, you'd be grinding that in there. You just need to be really careful if you have decreased sensation on the bottom of your foot. So that's another contraindication to this specific one. And then the other one is just if you have really fragile skin on the bottom of your foot due to some other circulatory issue or wounds or something like that. But if you don't fall into those categories, I'm going to give you, it's a little bit painful is the only issue. It's a little bit painful. So here's the thing, just like some of these other ones, right? So at first, if I feel pain under my foot, what am I going to do? I'm probably going to recoil back and go, heck no. But if you can employ some of the breathing relaxation tactics that we'll use, we put the foot on the ball, our eyeballs get a little bit big because it hurts some. We can back off. You're in control of how much pressure you put there. One way to do it is get it right underneath the arch of your foot. As soon as I put the ball under there, most people start rubbing really fast. And so I would recommend just waiting, just being a little bit slower with the movements and just draping the foot so that that big arch, the one that we're talking about keeping up, it is good for that arch to be up because that is one of our shock absorbers. And I should have mentioned that at the beginning. One of the reasons the feet are so, I should have said this first, one of the reasons that the feet are so important is that they are the first thing to hit the ground and they're our primary shock absorbers. There's actually 3 arches of the foot. There's the big long one, so look at that. That's that. I don't know, you have to follow my hand signals. I was unaware that this mining was going to be part of this today. But there's the big long arch of the foot, and then there's another transverse arch across the knuckles, across the ball of the foot. And by the way, there's another one on the outside of the foot. There's a secondary lateral longitudinal arch. So blah, 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 there's all these springs. There's all these springs that every time you hit the ground, they're supposed to be springing. What creates the spring? A lot of it's muscles. So I lost my track of thought a little bit on that one. But that's basically, so we're talking about the massage. So having all this gravity, stuffing your feet in the little foot coffins will tend to decrease those springs because the muscles aren't there and gravity's just pushing that thing flat. So when we put the ball under here, what we're doing, there's all these little bones on the top of the foot. They're shaped kind of like die, they're different shaped dice. And so when we put the ball under there, not only does it massage the muscle under here, it also lifts those little bones. It's like, the Roman arches over like a doorway, for example. They're made out of stone in an arch. So that's what we want. We want that arch to be rounded so that when pressure goes on it, it gives. And so what we're doing with the tennis ball is that with gravity and lack of those muscles, those stones have been falling down and becoming a little flatter. So what we're doing is we're pushing them back up. We're kind of being like a jack, and we're pushing them back up to give the foot the ability to start moving. So I feel like I over-explained that, but I think it's really a good idea to have that your foot just isn't this lunk of bone and flesh. It's all these little bones that work together, and we want a mobility there. So some of it is massaging for the muscles to get that looser. It's kind of painful, but if you stick with that breathing and relax into it, those muscles will let go, and you'll notice, oh, okay, it doesn't hurt quite so much. And then you move over to the next little spot, and your eyes get big, and then you do that. We call that clearing those painful places, clearing those tender points. So that would be a good one. So that's a mobility exercise for the foot. So foot self-massage. I don't know if I can explain this one without lying down on the table, which I'm not going to do. But there's a calf massage, and this is one of these things that I do every morning. Remember how we talked about the big bulby calf muscle and how the tendons go down and they wrap around the ankle and they affect what's happening at the feet? You can lie down on your back. Everything's going to be using my hands to demonstrate today, apparently. You can lie down on your back with your knees bent, and you can put that calf muscle on top of the other bent knee. Is that making sense? And so the bent, pokey kneecap turns into the massage knob. And then what's really cool is once you lay that calf on there, you'll move it around and then your eyes get big. You're like, oh, I found the spot that's tender right in that calf. Then what you can do is with your foot is go up and down a little bit. And you guys won't know what I'm talking about until you do this, and then you'll feel it. It sort of, when you move your foot up and down, what it does is it moves that calf muscle, kind of glides it over that bone. So now instead of like a massage therapist's thumbs moving that muscle, you're moving your own muscle over your kneecap. You do the same thing. You hold some pressure in there, you breathe into it, you relax, and you stay with it at a mild to medium intensity until it feels like it ebbs. And then you move it to the next little spot. You'll have to play around and find some of those things. Why on earth would you do that? Well, if you've got painful feet and you loosen up that big bulby calf muscle, it's not going to be pulling on your foot as much, and you're going to start feeling a little bit more alive in those toes. You're going to start having more mobility of all of that. So that's what we're talking about. So those are two mobility things.
Is that when you do laying down?
You do it laying down, yes. Yeah, sorry if that wasn't clear.
And it's knee to calf.
Yeah, it's your knee. You've got your knee. I can't do it here because I can't levitate, but pretend I'm lying down. Here's my knee. Yeah, you can do it sitting. Yeah, and then you plop your calf right on top of that. And then the foot that's getting the massage is moving up and down a little bit, and it'll just kind of glide that muscle right on top of that bony kneecap. So the bonier knees, you've got the more, I don't know, the more sharp the massage. Yeah, yeah. There's a bunch of foot strengthening exercises. I don't want to go over all of these because there's specific circumstances to do some of them. But what I will say is, if you can, so everybody knows heel raises, yeah? So okay, if you have so much foot pain you can't do heel raises, don't do heel raises. If you can do heel raises and it's not hurting, one great way to sort of add a boost to heel raises, because we kind of know it's good for us, right? It's kind of strengthening our calf muscles. Well, if you can also imagine pressing your toes in at the same time. So instead of just going up and down, what most people do is they go up and they flop, up and they flop. So if I press my toes, like you're all sitting right now. Go ahead and put both feet on the ground. So go ahead and do just a fast, press your feet in, heels go up, back down. Heels go up, back down. Heels go up, back down. Okay, cool. Now, whether you're doing it or not, don't let your heels come up, but press your toes. Don't curl your toes. Try not to curl your toes. Clawing is usually against the law. Pressing the toes, trying to keep them straight, that's an exercise all in itself. Now, maintain that press and then slowly go up on the toes. Hold it and then back down slow. Now, press, slowly up, pause, keep pressing, slowly back down. Can you feel your toes working a little bit? So that's a great way to start. Even sitting is awesome because we don't work those toes. They need it. So that is starting to give you some more strength for when you're walking on the beach. Now they've got more support. You start to lose your balance. They're the things that are catching you. Playing pickleball so you can smash it right at their feet. That'll be good too. So toe flexion. There's a lot of everything, and there's some evidence out there that just starting to strengthen your toes in this way, or like a towel scrunch. Has anybody ever heard of the towel scrunch? Here's the towel on the ground. Usually it's got to be on like a tile floor. Here's my toes. I try to pull that under. I'm strengthening those same muscles that we just did with the heel raises. I'm strengthening my toe flexors. There's some evidence that just strengthening the toes is as good as putting orthotics in people that have mild foot issues. So it's starting to pop that arch up a little bit. I know I said it's not all about the arch, but for a lot of us, if the pain is relating to that arch falling down because of the muscles, bringing that arch up and having some support in there is good. Which reminds me, I sort of skipped one. How many people in here have ever had orthotics, like the shoe inserts, whether off the shelf? How many people? Okay, so a ton of people. So what I'm talking about, if you haven't had those, is you go to the podiatrist or you buy them off the shelf. Some PTs make them. There are podorthists that make them, and they're the little things that you slide in to your shoe. And a lot of times they just have a longitudinal arch, but sometimes they have a little side-to-side metatarsal arch in there too. So these are the things that a lot of people have, and I have a quick test to see if yours are working. So what you do is you stand somewhere solid. This is assuming you can kind of stand on one foot holding on to something. If you can't do that, don't do this. But say you can. So pretend this is my foot on the ground. So bare floor or carpet is fine. Barefoot or sock, it's fine. Stand on that one foot, hold on to whatever, lift the other foot up just a little bit. And then try to lift your hand off. See if you can balance on one foot. We're looking for a couple things. A, can I balance on one foot? B, am I losing my balance, and which way am I going? So if this is my left foot, most people will lose their balance this way, because what happens is as their foot muscles weaken, the arch falls and they fall this way. So pay attention to that. Then, so okay, I could stand for 5 seconds. My ankle was all over the place, and then I kept losing my balance this way. That's kind of the typical thing for someone who's having some foot problems. Then take the orthotic corresponding to that foot, take it out of the shoe, throw it on the ground, or place it, and then put your foot, snuggle your foot up. You just have to kind of do your best. Snuggle your foot up into the little heel cup, get your arch on the right place, make sure it's not all skewed, get it all lined up, and then do the exact same thing, however you did it before. Hold on, stand on that foot that has the orthotic underneath it, lift up the other one, and then see, A, can I hold my balance? B, which direction am I losing my balance? Is it any better? So if it's better, if it's holding you, if I'm not going through as many excursions, if I'm not losing my balance whatever direction I was before, and it's actually helping you, yay, good orthotic. That's helping you some. We're not saying it's perfect, but at least we know it's helping you. If you flop it down and it does nothing, and you do the same wiggle waggle and you lose the balance and it's not any better, okay, maybe there's a cushion effect if that's what you're going for, but as an orthotic and the arch support, the foot mechanic support, it's not really helping you at all. I had a patient recently and she had 2 custom ones that she got from podiatrists in years past. And so she was kind of trying to cycle through both of them so she could put them in different shoes and not have to keep changing it every time, taking it out and putting it into the active shoe. And so we did this test, and one of them was like amazing, and she could feel it too. She's like, oh yeah, I feel that support. And the other one, she's like, ew. So we told her to get rid of the ew. Actually, I think she was able to go back and get some of it kind of ground down, because sometimes they'll do that. But anyway, I wanted you to know that little trick. Shoe purchasing. Okay, I'm curious. Does anybody have, so I used to refer everybody to the shoe tree in Pismo, and that's gone, and that's sad. And then, does anybody have a shoe place here? Yes.
Go to Mike's Shoes in Madonna Plaza.
Mike's Shoes in Madonna Plaza? Okay, in St. Louis. Got it. Mike's Shoes. Okay, there you go.
I go to Skechers.
Skechers? Okay, yeah. Yeah, the problem with Skechers, yeah. So the thing that was great about, I don't know how Mike's Shoes is, but what we want is someone that's going to actually kind of like look at our feet a little bit. Literally, remember the old school measuring things? Right? Those metal things that would measure the width and the length. They did those for a reason, because we have feet that are shaped differently and different shoes are shaped differently. Like I love Nikes, but my foot does not, no matter what, fit into a Nike because of the shape of my foot. So it's good to get something that fits our foot.
They do that.
They do that a little bit?
They know what a shoehorn is.
They even know what a shoehorn is.
I went to a store in Santa Maria and asked for a shoehorn.
And they didn't know what that was.
Can't even hold them.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So and tell me, Mike's?
Mike's.
Mike's, okay, so that's one. The only one I know about, I have two options. One is, it doesn't sound great, but it's called the Running Warehouse in St. Louis. I know. But because they have people that are analyzing gait, walking patterns, and feet, even though they're youngins, even though they're pretty into their running, they will back down and help the rest of us to try to find the right shoes. And some of the shoes that they have are more on the supportive Hoka line. I don't know if they have that exactly, but I just wanted to throw that out there. So Runner's Warehouse, yes.
Thinking of Runner's Warehouse, now I recall if it's that one or a different one, but that had like a treadmill.
The treadmill, yeah.
That hits your strike.
Yeah.
And determines your strike. And is it a real thing? And it's
Yeah.
useful.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I haven't had that done to me personally, and I can't know for sure how each person that's looking, what their training is, but absolutely, like we learn in school all about gait analysis. And so I think that, however, their scale is going to be more on the higher speed of things. They're really looking for, okay, when they leave the ground, when they're running, and then they land on the ground, what does their body do? But I'm assuming that at least with some of that biomechanical knowledge, if we slowed it down into just one of our regular walking speeds, that at least would be helpful somewhat. Put it this way, they know something about feet, they know something about gait analysis. That's better than, unfortunately, sorry, Skechers. I love Skechers too, though. But yeah, you're not going to get any individual help from, what's, some of those, yeah.
Because the last time I had it done, it was hard.
Talking about the treadmill, where to do the treadmill? Yeah. Yeah, the Runner's Warehouse, they do that. Yeah, and it's like on South Higuera over near Tank Farm somewhere or something like that. Yeah, something like that. Suburban, yeah. You guys are good at it. You guys know what's up. So, okay, so let's talk about the sort of the Hokas, the firm. How many people right now have had those Hoka type, really thick, kind of rocker, super squishy, probably comfortable, crazy shoes? How many people? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So, great. So not as many as I thought, actually. I'm kind of surprised. So I'll make this brief, but we've already talked about those. The really, really stiff, thick, squishy, rocker type shoes are for people that have bone malalignment, arches are falling, super painful arthritis. Like not a lot of chance that they've already tried physical therapy and all the strengthening in the world is not lifting that arch back up and it's still really painful. That's great for them. Plantar fasciitis can be good for those people too. But, and this is the second part of this argument, but if you're just doing them because like, oh yeah, those feel, Susie has them and oh my gosh, they're so squishy and they're so comfy when I have them on there. There's a little price to pay for some people. Not for the first group, for the second group, because now if your foot isn't moving, you're not using your muscles quite as much. And so it's sort of like putting on a back brace and now the muscles in my core and my back get weak because I was just wearing and strapping down the back brace all the time. So if you're wearing those Hokas, a lot of times it is a good idea to do some of these little, the towel scrunch, the toe press heel raises, some of these other things. As well as some of the mobility maybe with the tennis ball, just to kind of keep things going too. Unless you've had a big fusion in there, then don't do that. So, yeah, I'm going to move on from that. And, so sort of thinking about buying shoes, the wide toe box thing, everybody kind of knows about that. You don't want to have the ball of your foot pinched. Don't try to, what do we call it? Break them in. Those days are gone. That's a bad idea now. They have enough different sizes that we don't have. They should be comfortable immediately, and if they're not, don't do it. Don't think that, I'll get used to it. Now, sometimes you may make a shoe choice because it looks good, it's the right kind of thing, and then it feels really good when you put the orthotic in there. So that could be a good way to do it too. So if the shoe wasn't perfect, but then when you put the orthotic in there, it feels really good, that's the way to go too. So. Yeah, no breaking in. I mean, I think this is pretty standard stuff. We want a wide enough toe box, and then for the heel, and this is where it gets hard if you have probably, honestly, shaped feet like my son's, super wide in the front. I call them hobbit feet. Super wide in the front, and then a narrow heel. We want that heel to be held, because we don't want him moving up and around in there. So anyway, I think you guys already know that. You want the heel to be held in the back, and you want it wide enough for the front. You want enough room for your toes to move around. And, I want to share one other exercise without getting too technical. Spreading the toes is a fabulous exercise. So I'm thinking about if you have a wide enough toe box, so I'm doing it right now, I can kind of spread my toes. Now, not all of us know how to spread our toes, and that's fine, we'll get to that. But you want enough room in there to be able to spread your toes. Because, if God wanted us just to have a really stiff, uniplanar object, we would have one big fat toenail on there and not 5 to move around. So we're supposed to be able to move these guys around. It's just hard because they've been stuffed in shoes for so long. So this idea, I call it the lazy boy exercise. So you're sitting in a lazy boy or whatever, you're in bed, you're barefoot, you see your feet up in front of you because it's nice to be able to have a visual. You could do this lying down basically. You just try to spread your toes apart. At first it's going to look like this. Nothing. and you're going to probably cramp on the bottom of your foot. But just stick with it. There are actual muscles that pull these apart, and one great way to do that, if you have the flexibility, you can stuff your own fingers in between your toes and give it a little stretch. Won't be the most comfortable thing at first because you're stretching these little teeny muscles. Or they sell those little toe spacers. There's a brand on Amazon, and they've got these little, oh man, what do they call them? Gems. It's blue. It's this blue silicone, and each one has like a gem, so it looks like you're wearing like 5 gem wedding rings on your foot. And they're amazing because they're soft and they adjust to anybody's foot size. So just sitting there in your lazy boy with those spacers in there is a great mobilization, a great little stretch. It's different from strengthening the muscles, right? Because there's mobility, which is massage and stretching, and then there's strengthening, which is doing these exercises. So you get the mobility with your gels, and then you take them out, and then you try to start spreading the toes apart. You can do it sitting, and you can, extra super high level, you could do it standing. But trying to spread those toes apart, what it does is it strengthens these little teeny muscles in here, and that very thing can help with hammer toes, plantar fasciitis, Achilles pain, lateral foot pain, all these things. So spreading the toes, yoga toes. There's a specific exercise called yoga toes. I'm not going to go over that one. It's hard. But spreading the toes is a little bit more accessible for most people. So, I think I'm wrapping it up, but one of the things that I see as a physical therapist, just as an illustration is, yes?
On the foot exercises, under intrinsic exercises, you have short foot? I don't know.
Yeah, so the question is on the toe exercises, there's one that says short foot. So that one is about, sometimes I'll call that one pop your arches. So if this is your foot and it tends to be flat or whatever, we're just trying to strengthen and get some blood flow to these feet. What we'll do is we'll practice imagining your foot has 3 tripods. There's the inside ball of the foot, the outside ball of the foot, and the heel. So what we're trying to do is, keeping the big toe down, we're trying to pull the front 2 corners towards the heel so that we pop the arch up a little bit. What everybody does though is they will either curl their toes and lift their big toe immediately. So the rule is the big toe has to stay down, including the ball, which is hard, but the pad and the ball of the big toe stays down, and the toes need to be as straight as they can. They're probably going to bend. There's this real specific nerdy reason for that. Just trust me. We want to keep the toes straight so that it's a little movement. And even if it's just like that, just like a little bit, that's fine. We just want to get a little bit because they're little teeny micro muscles in between the long foot bones. So just a little movement is great. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to be able to have it look like a huge cave. Just a little bit is really good. And the benefit of that is that becomes your muscular shock absorber. So even if you're wearing orthotics or squishy shoes, now your muscles are starting to catch and support you, and you're creating movement in the foot instead of just having everything locked in. But great question. So just to wrap up, we see a lot of people for different things in physical therapy, and so I've had a lot of people with knee issues lately. So one person in mind has a knee replacement surgery, and it's doing really well, but one of the things that I started off with them first was, we started by massaging her feet. And so we went in there, we got the plantar fascia all rubbed, all those little toe flexors in there. She was kind of freaked out when I grabbed her toes and started moving them around a little bit. Because who does that? Like we don't play with our feet this way. We should, yogis do, and they have this saying that we die first at our feet. And so, so if we think about, someone in the morgue, what are their feet going to look like? They're going to be gray, and they're going to be all tendony, and they're going to be all like that. That's the way my weird little brain works anyway. Think about a super healthy young person. They're going to be straight, they're going to be a little bit spread, they're going to be more mobile. They're going to be able to go walk on those rocks by the water because their feet can mold and do that. But this foot can't. So taking care of our feet is super important. So in any case, we worked on our feet, we worked on our calves, We moved her little toes around. I spread her toes. I showed her how to do the ball. I showed her how to do all these other exercises. I have one more really, really good exercise if you want me to tell you about it too. We did that one. It's called Scoop the Sand. And so we started addressing the mobility issues of her feet and the strengthening of her feet. And so not only is her knee rehab going really well, and I should mention that the foot stacks on top of the knee, on top of the hip, on top of the spine. So whatever's happening down there is going to go right up. We don't really talk about this, but a lot of knee issues come from the feet because they're weak and they're stuck. Same thing with the hip, even up into the neck. I've seen people come in with neck pain, and we've just figured it out that their feet were going down. You can't see my feet, I don't think, but if my feet are pronating, you hear that word, they're pronating, then my knees go in, then my hips go in, then my back goes, and then my head goes forward. I'm exaggerating, but how's that look? Not so good. But then if I supinate my feet, then it allows me to come all the way up. You can see that ripple effect. So another big reason that the feet are related to our overall wellness is that they connect everything up above. And so the things that she told me in her knee rehab is that she felt so much more comfortable walking barefoot. She's like, I haven't been able to walk barefoot like this in years, and it just felt good to be able to not have to slam her foot back into a shoe. And the other thing is that she just really felt alive in her feet. She's like, I just can't believe how much I can feel all of the different joints in my feet, whereas before it was kind of like cardboard or a big lead lump. And so it just feels good when we start to get those moving too. So even just, not just the motivation being, okay, I want to get out of pain. It's also, do I want to feel better than I thought I could? And that's a possibility too. So just wanted to throw those out. More stuff is reversible than we think. So yeah, I think we did everything. We went over the myths. I think we did most of those. We got the most common conditions. I would love to open this up for questions. Does anybody have any questions or specific things they want to talk about? I saw you first.
I seem to be getting calluses.
Calluses?
What's causing that? Because I play pickleball.
Pickleball. Oh, you guys. Yeah, the pickleballers. Yeah, it depends on where the calluses are. I don't know if you want to share where they are, what part of your foot. And if not, I can still answer the question.
The toe area, the outer toe.
Like the pinky toe?
No, big toe.
Big toe? Yeah. Is it like the big toe on the bulby part of the big toe? Yeah. So with pickleball, there's just so much movement going around. So somewhere you're not getting enough support, and so your forefoot is migrating around a little bit. So it might be a matter of that your heel is not your heel's not getting pinched enough, so that movement is happening. It might be that your toe box is a little bit too narrow. Yeah, so you're just getting some pressure in there. Because in general, calluses are just from some kind of friction. So I would look at that. Make sure your shoes are tied
And how do you
firmly.
get it to go away?
How do you get it to go away? Just what we talked about. If your toe box is too narrow, you need to get a new shoe. If your heel is not being held in there, like if everything's tied up and you can move your heel and it's sliding around in there, then it's just not the right shoe for you. And so then you go to somewhere like the Running Warehouse and go, here's my shoes. I've got this callus here. This random therapist thinks it might be my heel. Can you see if my heel is... I need some shoes that are going to hold my heel and have a wide enough toe box so I don't bonk into the side of the shoe with my big toe when I crush the opposition. Because I know that's what you do. Yes?
You talked about the longitudinal arch.
Yes. On the outside of the foot.
On
Yeah.
the outside of the foot. I wake up even in the morning with pain.
Okay, I got you.
And I notice I stand on the side. Like if
Yeah.
I'm standing at the sink, I tend
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I got you. So that one is, lateral foot pain is like 90% sure one little bone, and it's called the cuboid bone. So I don't necessarily recommend Googling things because everything on the internet leads to death. But what I would do, just as a start, is just see how that ball feels on the ground, just like you're sitting right now. Put the ball in there, rub the medial longitudinal arch, like the squishy, nice, probably a little bit tender muscles, and then gently migrate it towards the outside of your foot. So because that longitudinal arch, one of those bones is starting to fall. And when it falls, it presses into the other bones and it creates a lot of pain and some inflammation in there. So you want that ball, even though it's going to be a little bit painful, don't force anything, to start to lift that arch, to bring those bones back up. And then there's also some strengthening things. If we have time, I'll share the scoop the sand exercise. But just getting that ball to push up on that a little bit can be good. And then honestly, a lot of times you need some arch support in there, because if it's just going down, 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 and it's just air right on the inside, if you have some arch support in there, now it's resting on that as well as the outside of your foot too.
Is the arch support for the metatarsalgia enough?
So metatarsalgia is the top, is more like that transverse arch. That's the ball of the foot.
Behind the toes, right?
Yeah, but by the toes, at the base of the toes. So that's a different type of support. I'm talking more about a longitudinal arch support. Yeah, more like the thing that most people would think of, like, oh, my arches are falling. Okay, we'll bring it up that way. More that medial longitudinal arch
Because I
support.
have a very high arch.
Yeah, so all that weight's going over there, and then that bone, probably because your toe flexors are getting weak, just because life, they're not holding that. They're not holding that bone up. The muscles are one of the big things that hold that up. So I would also try some of those. I mean, I'm always trying to be careful giving people exercises without looking at them, but try the towel scrunch and try pushing that ball up a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
On my left foot, I have a bone spur about the size of a pea on top of my foot.
Yeah.
And most of the time I don't notice it, but every once in a while it feels like a white hot poker is going through my foot. Is there any remediation for that?
Where is it on your foot?
It's over here, on the side, not on the side, but on the top left-hand side.
Got it. So it's on the left foot, on the top,
Yeah.
out by the pinky.
Sure.
So most bone spurs are because when the body has a pressure to it, or an irritation or a compression on it, it grows more bone as response. So that's why when we have osteoporosis, as a positive thing, they want us to walk because we're weight bearing into our bones. What do the bones do when they're smashing on it? They kind of like that, and they grow. It stimulates the osteoblasts, and it grows more bone. So what's happening with you is something's pulling on that. So it depends on where it is, but there are a lot of tendons. Remember the bulby calf muscle?
Right.
And then the tendons are like little ropes that go down, and then they attach at various different points. They cross over all these different complicated points in the foot. So I had another patient recently, and she had 2 of those on the top of her foot. Well, when I saw where they were, I'm like, okay, well, that's this muscle. And so then we started massaging that muscle, and lo and behold, the pain went down, and it even started getting smaller. And then here's this one, that's another muscle, and we kind of did the same thing.
Well,
So
this foot has bunionectomy and I have the flattest feet, tires to
Yeah.
I probably have growers down, so my feet are just like super
that's
hard.
hard, yeah, that's
Yeah.
hard. So there's probably, I mean, it's possible that it could be from your shoes, but usually if it's to the point of like a bony spur, it's an internal thing. So there's some bone, some tendon that's pulling on that too. So
So
yeah,
maybe some help for it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. Other questions? Yes, I'll get you next.
Walking barefoot in beach sand.
Yeah,
Benefit to that?
yeah, as long as it doesn't kill you. Yeah. Yeah, it is good. It is good because what happens with the sand is that say you had arches that were painfully dropping, like you tried to walk on the kitchen hard floor, I was like, ooh, it hurts. Well, the sand is going to be a little lifter, and the sand is also an opportunity to use your toe flexors. So I guess my joke about as long as it doesn't kill you, it's kind of like the next day will it kill you because you'll be using your toe flexors. So absolutely. It's just that we want to be careful because I could do all kinds of stuff. So I could walk on the beach for hours and it wouldn't hurt. But if I haven't done it for years, you're going to want to go slow on that. You're going to want to go slow. But I'm in favor of it. Soft sand's best. Yeah, soft sand's best. But yeah, and then it'll be awesome because you'll press your foot. The sand's going to go. You're going to spread your toes. You're going to be using those toe flexors. That's really good. Yeah. Yes.
You talked about the calluses. I
Calluses.
have calluses that are on the ball of my foot, like right
Mhm.
behind the big toe, and
Uh-huh.
then again behind the pinky toe.
Okay, kind of on the
Yeah.
outside parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a weight distribution issue, and there are some people where calluses are normal. That's just kind of the way it is. If they don't cause you a bunch of pain, it's not associated with a bunch of other issues, or it doesn't feel like it's it's progressing and you're like, you kind of have an intuition about this. Like, okay, these are just my calluses. Does my foot move fine without pain? Yeah. Can I do everything I want to do? Yeah. It's probably okay. But here's the thing. Even if we're saying it's okay, do the ball thing. Do the toe
I had a
thing.
bunionectomy and
Yeah.
he fused the toe joint.
Yeah. So whenever
So
you have
can't
a
move that joint.
right, so you had a bunionectomy, so that joint was fused in there. So whenever a joint is fused, the movement's going to have to come from somewhere else, and so then that's where things start getting born on the other side or in front of it or behind it too. But if this is fused and these two spots are getting lots of tension on or pressure on them, it's not going to hurt to get some mobility. Play with those toes, move them around, not the fused one, but move them around. Get the toe spaces in there. Massage the bottom of the foot with a tennis ball. Do some little toe scrunches. I know that might sound like a lot, but like we want to keep walking. And if that's something that not only helps us function better, but also like my patient with the knee replacement like feels really good, then maybe that's motivating to do. Yeah, but start slow. Yeah. Yes.
So I've heard a lot of people talk about calluses. This is a callus. I have very, very bony feet
Yeah.
and have a real hard time with shoes fitting.
Yeah.
And as I've gotten older, I have this callus issue. And I just found this out from my dermatologist.
About the fat pad.
Well, what I found about is a cream you can buy online.
Oh.
But it's a lot of work, but it works. But it's got uric acid in it, urea acid and salicylic. And if you Google it online, you'll find it. So you can Google
Is there a brand name?
There's a bunch of people who make it, and I just bought mine online.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the brand
It's
name.
okay.
But
Yeah.
it's like 4%, 40%, it's like 2% salicylic, 4% urea. My dermatologist told me about it. It has worked, but you gotta use it.
What does it do? What does it do for you?
It softens the calluses.
Oh, it softens the
It's
calluses.
like if you have like those creams that work for like if you have like hard cracked skin.
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But
yeah, if
it's
it's
specific for calluses.
for calluses.
Not for the hard cracked.
So my comment on that is yay. It
Yay.
feels yay because it feels good and it helps and things
Yes.
aren't breaking down and
Yes.
does it feel like it's reducing the pressure?
Well, the calluses like they soften.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stay soft,
Yeah.
even
Good.
though you have the pressure points.
So my comment would be like yes
Which is
and.
nice.
Yes and.
Yes, and.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing I'll say, is if you're diligent with it, it's suggested to use it, some of them say once a day or twice a day, but it will promote massaging your feet.
Good.
And your toes.
Yes, I'm in favor of that. So everybody, get the lotion, massage your feet today.
I literally I've had this issue for a long time, and I went to a new dermatologist 2 years ago, and they're like, oh, get this.
Get this stuff. Okay, cool.
And I had never heard of it.
So I bet if we Googled something like salicylic, well, that's a hard word. What's an easier word?
Urea.
Urea. I bet if we urea is easier to remember too because
Yeah.
it's gross sounding. Urea callus lotion.
Yeah, you'll find it.
I bet you'll find that. Podiatrist urea callus lotion.
It's
I
just
bet that'll
like,
come in.
yeah, because the dermatologist, I was
Gets
surprised.
me out of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
They just talk about it like it was a-
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Well, I want to respect your time. Yes. So
Any thoughts on slip-on shoes as opposed to recent?
So okay, slip-on shoes. I like this. You know, I like the Skechers ones. I like the step into, but it's still holding me shoes rather than a slip-in, open-heeled slipper. Have you tried to walk backwards fast? It's dangerous because if you walk backwards in the flip-flops or the slippers, they can come off, and that can create a fall risk.
Like what she has on there, the slip-ons.
Yeah, so if it's a slide in, you know, like an old school slipper, like the guy's wearing his robe and his slippers and it's completely open in the heel. No, I'm not in favor of those. I mean, around the house, I guess. But if you have balance issues, no, absolutely not. But I like something that holds the heel. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Well, like what she has on,
Yeah.
just plain slip-ons.
Yeah, so there's a heel, so there's, if it grabs her
As opposed to
heel.
what she has on.
Yeah, so she's got athletic shoes with full laces. She's got, slip in. Yeah. So slip in like the Skechers but it's got a heel. Like it's got a heel. It's holding my heel. It's not open in the back. Yeah, I'm in favor of those.
Either or.
Yeah. So each has their place. So the slip-ons can be great for some people. It just depends on the shoe. So I love Skechers simply because they fit my foot. I would complain about Nikes. I would rather wear Nikes because whatever, I think they're cool, but the Skechers fit my foot. How do I know? Because when I wear them and then when I buy them, they feel comfortable and my feet don't hurt. It's kind of simple, but it's not, because you have to find the right one for you. Oh, that was the other one, Zappos. Now, I haven't researched this lately, but I believe that their whole business model, it's an online place, and you order shoes from them. This is what my wife does. She orders 5 shoes, because you can't try them on. She orders 5 shoes. Their whole business model is, we will ship them to you for free, and we will take them back for free.
Yeah.
So buy a bunch, try them on at home, and then send the ones you don't like back, and that seems to work pretty well. Yes?
That's another good one, it's called Ortho Feet.
Ortho Feet.
Yeah.
Ortho Feet and Zappos online. Buy a bunch of them, sit in your house, wear whatever you want, try them on, walk around the house. Do the thing like Grandma made me do when I was buying shoes for school every year. Yes, Grandma. She made me walk around the whole place. She was like, nope, keep going. Nope, keep going. I'm like, come on, Grandma, can't we just get them? Nope, do another lap. Make sure they're comfortable while you're trying them on. Give them a little bit. And walk on the hard, walk on this is all Grandma. Walk on the hard, walk on the soft, go up and down some steps. If you're jogging, do some jog steps. But yeah. What was the name of that company again?
Ortho Feet.
Ortho Feet. Ortho Feet and Zappos. Yes.
Heard of Allbirds?
Allbirds? It sounds like there's a lot of companies. Allbirds. Yes, good. I would love to answer more questions, but I want to respect your all's time, so I'm going to say that's it. But if you have more questions and you want, come talk to me privately right now. Thank you, everybody.